welcome to the 9642 podcast. This is your host, Mr. NumberNine.
And this is The Fool.
Your 96 best place to listen to...
For 10 years.
Yes, for our 10th season of our mostly up-to-date...
And unqualified. And unrequested.
Ramblings of the various issues in the world of sport.
Or something like that.
Hello everyone, we are back. Once again, bread and butter.
Yeah.
But instead of focusing on the Premier League, where they're currently on an international break, we are going to look at the various UEFA, Champions League, Europa, Conference League draws. And check out Europe in general and what's going on.
Might as well go look at that. Yes. Okay. 2 weeks in a row of football, so it's good. But
yeah.
Europe is definitely heating up, so it's worth a bit of a look over.
So for the last ever 32-team Champions League format, we are currently in our quarterfinals. Like we predicted, Arsenal beat Porto to go ahead, but on penalties, so we just did it.
Yeah. They managed it though.
Leipzig had already lost to Real Madrid when we last looked at this. Bayern had gone ahead of Lazio. Real Sociedad, not good enough to beat PSG. No surprises there.
No.
Manchester City thrashing Copenhagen. We already knew that. Barcelona coming back from behind from 2-1 to beat Napoli 3-1 to go to the quarterfinals. Apparently that was very much so needed because Barcelona had already pulled the lever of quarterfinal qualification for their budget.
All right,
so that they can buy players next year. And Atletico Madrid going ahead on penalties against Inter Milan. A great comeback from 1-0 down. Inter Milan, who are playing awesome in Serie this season. And they basically look like they're going to waltz into the title.
We looked at them last time. It's surprising that they didn't waltz through to the quarterfinals, really, given how well they're currently playing.
Are not in the best of form in La Liga, and the game that was literally anyone's up for grab, Dortmund do the business at home, 2-0 win against PSV. Removing the last Dutch club in the Champions League.
Bad for PSV, really, but I think we were mostly picking Dortmund just because they were at home. So the home fans obviously showed the way.
The yellow wall. Bringing the bees to the next round.
That yellow wall is something.
And so we can look at the quarterfinal draw. As I predicted, Real Madrid play Manchester City.
We were trying not to bring that into reality, but apparently it didn't.
We have a game on in the quarterfinals there, but there are no easy games. In this round. Arsenal playing Bayern Munich, and I said if Arsenal don't draw City or Real, they're in with a chance. I think they are in with a chance against Bayern. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but if you have to play Bayern in the Champions League, this is your year to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Then we have PSG playing Barcelona, the classic lineup. These two clubs, there's very little love lost between the two of them. The brokest club in Europe against the richest club in Europe.
Pretty much.
The Neymar derby. We'll see how that goes. Well, also the Messi derby, I suppose. And then we've got Atletico Madrid against Dortmund. I think both of these teams are going to breathe a sigh of relief. It's not easy to go to Atletico or Dortmund, but I think both those sides would sit there going up. We didn't draw PSG, Bayern, Real, or Manchester City. Can't complain.
Can't complain. I think that would be pretty much their thought on it. Say, hard trips for both of them, but I think they're both fancy their chances, which will make it a great sort of tie, because both of them will be thinking that they can get a good result out of it. So it'd be actually interesting to watch.
Yeah. So, prediction time. Arsenal versus Bayern. What do you think?
Or I think it's Arsenal. It's Arsenal this year.
Saka.
Yeah.
Oi. Now, I do think Arteta's got his boys playing the way he wants. They look on fire. I can't see Arsenal losing to Bayern at home, and then I think if they get a lead at home, they're going to keep that lead away at Munich. Bayern are having a terrible season.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to put them out of their misery.
And yes, say Arsenal's just on fire at the moment. So, as you say, no better time for Arsenal to be playing Bayern, really. Rather than right now, right here, this year. I just can't see Bayern doing it. Sure, they play big in the Champions League, but I say Arsenal's just pure fire at the moment. So I don't see it for Bayern.
The only thing that could stand in their way is if Harry Kane has a revenge match against Arsenal, because we know how he loves to perform against them.
Yeah, well, there is that. Maybe Harry Kane actually, stands up and drags Bayern through, but I'm thinking it's like
he has dragged Bayern through every round in the
Championship. He has been doing that.
Every game this season that they've won.
Yeah. To be fair, you are correct. So
he has not sit down this season. He has been standing.
He's been standing. He's like, I'll get something for us. So maybe he'll turn in an even more phenomenal performance against Arsenal, just for the old club and the new club. So
let's be honest. Harry Kane should be a Ballon d'Or winner this season. That's how good he's been playing.
Yeah.
For a not good team.
Yeah.
There is nobody in European football playing as well as him. And not in a selfish, I get all the goals. He is making his team better and actually threatening, going back, getting the ball and pressing, being the first line of defense. He's playing so well.
Yeah.
Basically, this is what Harry Kane looks like in a complete team, except that team is not complete. They're just better than Spurs were last season. Like I said, unless Harry Kane, I will put an asterisk. Harry Kane might make a fool of me, and I'm happy for that to happen, but I think Arsenal is through. Next up, Real Madrid, Manchester City.
Oh.
What do you think?
Oh. This is just probably go City at the moment. I mean, it feels so close, and I don't really want to make a prediction there. But
I have a theory. Real Madrid under Carlo Ancelotti are like the perfect team to beat City. They just are.
You are right.
They are masters of. Manchester City are the team of positional football, and Pep's evolved it. He's not just about positionalism. He's also learned to include all the things about phase of play and controlling and moving into transition in and out, and also applied his ability to control tempo. He doesn't go full tempo like Klopp does every game, but he also wants to control the tempo of matches as well. He's made the most three-dimensionally perfect teams statistically, in terms of ideals. It has all three of the big ideologies. Real Madrid goes, fuck that. Chaos, baby, chaos. Our players are better than yours and we'll win. As long as the game's chaotic enough, you can't beat us.
You do make good points on that. And as I say, I find it really hard to pick between the two of them.
They are City's bogey team.
Well, you do make a good point. They are City's bogey team. I know I said City. I may have changed my mind.
I'm going with Real. I never bet against white.
No, and I'm sitting with City, and I'm just to be different to you.
Alright, next up we have Paris Saint-Germain against Barcelona. I think every fiber of my being says Barcelona are in a terrible position and they should lose this game easily, but PSG always choke to Barca.
Yeah.
It's in their DNA.
That's pretty much my thought as well. It's like, everything on me says PSG easy, and then you go, but it's Barcelona versus PSG. and you're like, but yeah, you're right. That said, maybe it's the year PSG finally break the bogey.
Win the Champions League.
Well, at least make it through to the final. So.
Oh, they've made it to the final against you guys, remember?
Oh, no, you're right. Yes, they made it to the final.
Like, the tragedy of Neymar, he's never there in an important game because of injury.
Yeah, yes. I'm still going to give it to PSG over Barcelona in this round, just because that just seems...
Mbappe showing Barcelona what they'll have to face next season when he moves to Real Madrid for unlimited money contract.
Yeah.
Remember when we thought his $400 million 5-year deal was incredible, and now there's so many footballers with more money than that?
I know, it's crazy. I feel like it's better not to think about it sometimes.
Sometimes. Next up, the final, Atletico Madrid versus Dortmund. It's a tough game to pick. Madrid, Atleti are not in good form this season. Neither are BVB, to be fair. I think Atleti has just got a bit more European pedigree at the moment. They'll get through.
You make a good point. I was going to go with Dortmund just because they got the home... Well, not just because, but one of the reasons is because they got the home game second. I just feel like they're just looking that tad sharper. I mean, yeah, Madrid does have the... Atletico has the pedigree to say, but they did beat Inter, but it's just feeling a bit... just that tad more scrappier. I feel like Dortmund's just going to hold it through, but once again it's a close game. I'm going with Dortmund, A, just to be contrary to you more than anything, and to say B, they're
I would love for the Bees to win, but it feels like this is the sort of fixture Atletico Madrid teams to win. I feel. Alright, well, let us go to the middle brother, the Europa League. As we predicted, Liverpool smashed Sparta Prague. Leverkusen actually had a very close game against Karabag. Ended up winning 3-2 and 5-4 on aggregate. Brighton, as we predicted, didn't manage to get through, even though they did win 1-0 at home to Roma. Atalanta managed to scrape through against Sporting. 3-2, which I think we predicted Sporting. We predicted West Ham would get through against Freiburg, and boy did they get through against Freiburg, 5-0.
Nice statement there, really. Just threw the gauntlet down.
Yeah, just threw the gauntlet down. They want this. You can tell the Irons. And then we have Villarreal against Marseille. Villarreal were up against it. They already lost 4-0 in the first leg, and Marseille lost 3-1 to them away, but not enough. They go ahead on goal difference. Slavia Prague losing 1-3 to Milan. Milan taking a 3-7 aggregate victory to the next round. And Benfica sneaking in a 1-0 win against Rangers away from home. Very good performance, I think.
That's very good.
To go 2-3 on aggregate ahead to the next round. So, looking at our draw, we have Liverpool against Atalanta. We have Benfica against Marseille. We have an Italian derby of Milan versus Roma. And we have the team I can no longer call Leverkusen. Maybe, potentially, versus the Irons, West Ham. Oof, okay.
That's some good games, really.
Yeah. Liverpool, Atalanta, I think we both agree. Pool. Klopp has missed out on the FA Cup. I'm sure he wants to win another European trophy for Liverpool in his final season.
Definitely.
Next up, Benfica against Marseille. I've been impressed with Benfica.
Yeah.
I think Marseille have also played pretty well, but they're. This is the thing. I always think Portuguese clubs tend to perform really well, and Benfica have been doing really well in the last few seasons in Europe. So I expect they will just sneak through against Marseille.
Yeah, I was going to go with Benfica as well. Marseille's been playing well. They did just lose to Villarreal away. They just happened to have one better at home. So I think a little bit of it's their home performance is what's keeping them through all this at the moment.
Yep.
I think Benfica will have the ability to take that away from them and not let their home advantage pay for as much. So I think Benfica will make it the same. Marseille hasn't travelled well. They're not really that great in League One, but yeah. So I'm going with Benfica as well.
Cool. The Italian derby, Milan versus Roma. How do you see this one playing out?
It's probably Milan, but I just want it to be Roma just for the love more than anything.
Okay, if Jose Mourinho was still at Roma, I would 100% back Roma in this fixture. But I think Milan currently playing reasonably well in Serie. They look like they're going to qualify for the Champions League. Yeah. They've and Roma are not having a great season, so I think Milan get through.
I think it's Milan as well in the end. If anything, just to prove to Roma that they should have sacked Mourinho when he wasn't actually doing it.
Yeah. Next up, we have Leverkusen versus West Ham. Potentially the best tie of the round.
Yeah.
This is the game where we see how good Leverkusen are going to be. I don't know. I think the Bundesliga is going to still hot up. They're not one mathematically. They have a very good lead, and if they play out the way they have, they should win the league. But this is the business end of the competition when Bayern tends to come back to haunt you.
Exactly.
Especially if Harry Kane is on form. So
yeah.
I feel like Leverkusen might lose this game because West Ham have nothing to play for. They're not going to get relegated. And to be honest, qualifying for Europe, you're more likely to do that winning the Europa League than doing the other route in the Premier League at the moment for them.
Yeah, I think probably they'll at the moment concentrate on Europa League because even while they're in it, it doesn't matter if they're. I mean, they can't slip too far too easily. I mean, they could, but because they're sort of leading that pack for Conference League qualification, they sort of have a little bit of a buffer around it all. So potentially that, because that's it. Yeah, but I still think West Ham's going to win that. I
think West Ham really want to win. Look, winning the Europa League gets you a Champions League spot. Yeah. As opposed to coming 8th or 7th or whatever, 7th, 8th or 9th, whatever it happens to be that you need to qualify for the Conference League, as we've proven mathematically possible.
Exactly. So yeah.
Conference League is Conference League. West Ham want to go and get into the Champions League, I think.
They don't want to be downgraded from. They're in the Europa League this year. They don't want to be Conference League next year. They want to be the same or above. So they'll be able to win.
It would be really funny if they won the Europa League, because then David Moyes would be on a run. He'd won the Conference League, which he used to qualify for the Europa League, which he then uses to qualify for the Champions League. So was he going to win the Champions League? Would you bet against him?
With that, no.
I mean, he's a great cup manager as well, so you definitely wouldn't. But yeah, I think we're largely in agreement. It's a tough game. I think Leverkusen on paper are playing better than West Ham, definitely.
Yeah.
Like, not even on paper, in practice as well. It's just that I think the business end is coming.
Yeah.
And they'll need to preserve resources to make sure they win. Like, I think if you ask any Leverkusen fan, would they rather win the Europa League or win Bundesliga? Everybody wants them to win Bundesliga, right?
Yeah. Plus, I think you're right that West Ham, looking at their how they would spread their resources, their fans, and the coaches and everything. They'll be like, yeah, we're concentrating more on the Europa League right now. So I think that will make the bigger difference. You're there. Is that, Leverkusen, those Bundesliga games are going to matter more. I mean, they still mean stuff, but same point, if they lose to West Ham, they're like, we're leading the league. That's what we want. That's going to get them Champions League anyway, so they don't have to worry about anything else. Plus, West Ham's. This is probably the best avenue to. Well, not even probably. I think it is the best avenue for them to get the Champions League. So.
They do have only 8 more games, and they have a 10-point league in the Bundesliga.
In the Bundesliga, yeah. So, it is Leverkusen. It is Bayern. If I was them, I'd still prefer a few more points.
Yeah.
And Leverkusen has won the last 5 games. So they are doing their bit for everything. But it's Leverkusen and Bayern. I feel like the story's been played out before.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Alright. Then we go to the youngest brother. The Europa Conference League draw. Looking at our quarterfinal predictions, I think we had agreed that I think we thought Fenerbahce were gonna get through, and they, despite losing to Union Saint-Gilloise at home, they go ahead 3-1.
Yeah.
On aggregate, Fiorentina go ahead 5-4 on aggregate against Maccabi Haifa. Panathinaikos go ahead on aggregate against Dinamo Zagreb, who had a 2-0 lead, but I guess Panathinaikos are always very good at this in Europe at this
and playing at home as well, so that always
business end, Victoria Plzen against Servette. They won on penalties in a close run game, which was 0-0 over 2 legs.
Yeah.
So they get to the next round. Club Brugge win against Molde to get ahead 4-2 on aggregate.
Yeah.
And as we predicted, Aston Villa wins 4-0 against Ajax.
Yeah.
To get through to the next round.
Also a bit of a statement win by Aston Villa there as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Lask beats Sturm Graz 4-1 on aggregate to go ahead, and Olympiacos telling 6-1 win against Maccabi Tel Aviv to overcome a 4-0 deficit.
4-1, yeah.
I think you and I were thinking that the Israeli team would get through because they had a 4-0 lead.
Yeah,
a 4-1 lead, I should
4-1
say.
lead going back home as well.
So Olympiacos, once again, the big two from Greece, showing their European pedigree.
Yeah, exactly.
So they managed to go through to the next round. We have Victoria Plzen against Fiorentina. I think Fiorentina showed what an impressive team they are. At the moment, they're doing pretty well in Serie as well. I believe they're 3rd. This is a very competitive Serie A season for 2nd place. For top 4 places, I think there's not much between the top, basically Inter 76, Milan 62, and then you've got Juve 59, and then there's like a crowded spot with Bologna, Roma, and Atalanta. Fiorentina all the way down to 43, so they really don't have much to play for in Serie A.
Not anymore, no.
At the moment, they're probably not going to be relegated, and they're unlikely to make it to a European spot even. So I think I have to favor Fiorentina there, and like I said, they are a club that has a lot of that has a lot of pedigree in this competition. Next up, we have Olympiacos against Fenerbahce, Greece against Turkey.
Yeah.
Olympiacos have shown how good they are. They're not going to be afraid to go to Istanbul. And Athens is going to be absolutely boiling when Fener come to visit town. So expect them to get through.
I would say so, yeah.
Club Brugge against Panathinaikos. I like this game. I feel like this is the sort of game the Conference League was made for. Like, this should be a Conference League final. Club Brugge obviously did well in the next round, but I think Panathinaikos are just gonna get ahead and push on through. Going to Athens is just so hard.
No, you make it.
And I think, unfortunately for LOSC, this is the end of their fairy tale run, and it'll be Aston Villa going through to the next round.
Yeah, I think so too. Little LOSC are fighting in France for Champions League promotion anyway, so that's going to take up much more of their focus. But yeah, I think Aston Villa will definitely win this. I think Aston Villa's on a mission, on a warpath to win this competition.
Yeah, and like I said, they have one of the most successful European managers of all time, and Unai Emery looking after the club. So we're predicting Villa. There. As we were looking at the various leagues, the Bundesliga, like I said, I think you and I are on Team Leverkusen. I never thought I would say those words.
I'm on Team Leverkusen, yeah. Come on.
Like I said, only 8 more rounds left. They've managed to so they've got a 10-point lead. They've got games against Hoffenheim, Union Berlin, Werder Bremen, Dortmund. Yeah, so that's the tough game. Stuttgart, Dortmund, and Union Berlin, but all the other teams they look like they're facing, it doesn't seem like Leverkusen should be too worried about them.
Yeah. The only other one potentially is Eintracht Frankfurt, just because Frankfurt aren't horrendous overall and not the greatest season this year. Potentially a banana peel near the end of the season, depending on how the other games have gone. But by then, you would think they would have healed it up and it won't matter.
Well, Bayern are playing Dortmund, and so they've already got a tough game. They go to Cologne to play the Goats. They have to play against Union Berlin as well, and also that aforementioned Eintracht Frankfurt. This is a race. This is a pure sprint. With like Bayern. Bayern also get to play Wolfsburg. So I don't really see it for Bayern. I think, unfortunately for Harry Kane, his first season in the Bundesliga is not gonna give him a league title.
My children also find that funny, is that he left Tottenham or left Spurs to go searching for trophies, and his first season away he'll win nothing. It'll be the season.
If Bayern Munich win the Champions League, he is going to win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
You can write that down, because he's on fire.
He's on fire. But yeah, we'll have to see. That might be his only silverware chance this year. It just seems a bit funny.
Yeah. In the Serie, for once we have a very similar situation. Obviously, Serie there's still more games to go. They have about 9 more games to go this season, but Inter look imperious. They have a 12-point lead at the top of the table over cross-city rivals Milan. Juve way further back on 59 points, and then Bologna on 54. Be incredible to see little Bologna qualify for the Champions League.
It would be
but that fight for 5th place, they've still got Roma just 3 points behind them, and 6 points behind we have Atalanta.
Yeah.
Bringing up the rear. If Italy do get that 5th place coefficient, 5th might be enough for Roma to get through.
Might be, yeah.
To the Champions League, assuming they finish 5th.
Assuming they stay in 5th, though they beat Bologna up to 4th. So Atalanta is there. Napoli still theoretically, at least for the 5th place, is nearly there. So that is 6 points between Napoli and Roma at the moment, which is a reasonable distance.
Yeah.
Atalanta does have the benefit of having a game in hand. So, and I suppose Fiorentina got a game in hand at 43, so a win of that gives them 46, which once again keeps them just on the edge of the conversation. Probably, once again, maybe too far out to really be a big part of it, but maybe close enough. So.
Yeah, it's one of those seasons for the mid-table Italian clubs. They're kind of in with the shout, but nobody is catching up to the top dogs.
No.
Inter this season.
Now the Milan's
next up.
Oh, well away,
Yeah.
and Inter, you say, is just may as well hand them the trophy.
Yeah, Leverkusen and Inter, we can kind of almost say they're champions-elect.
Yeah.
Would that be fair?
Yeah, and I think with Inter, just even with Inter, you may as well give it to them. Looking at their games, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
They're still going to play Milan, but
Milan still have to play in Europe.
Milan's still playing
anymore.
Inter doesn't anymore, but they're playing Sassuolo, Rossino, Torino. These are bottom clubs.
Yeah.
Have they got Salernitana? No. So they're playing 2 of the bottom 3.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them are all bottom half of the table. Bottom half of the table. Or even lower. They got Cagliari and Empoli? Empoli as well, I'm sure I saw them. Yeah, Empoli, so may as well just give it to Inter. They're not losing this.
Yeah.
They, was it 14 point clear of Milan, basically playing the entire bottom half of the table.
Yeah. Moving to Spain, we have Real Madrid, who also potentially on that champions-elect path.
Yeah.
They have a 8-point lead over Barcelona with, as we said, 9 games to go. They've only lost 1 game this season. That's the other reason why I think Real are on it.
Yeah, that is actually a crazy stat.
Beat
Right.
Manchester City. They're almost sewn up La Liga, and they're on, and they're always on fire in the Champions League. Yeah, don't bet against white, as I say.
Exactly.
In his last season, looks like Xavi will not be defending the La Liga title he won last season. But at least they're ahead of Girona, who the fairy tale run, which was always going to end, but they look like they're going to accredit themselves very well. They should hopefully still qualify top 4 and make it to the Champions League.
Probably should even qualify 3, really.
Yeah, top 3 definitely. Club Bilbao are a decent way away from them, 6 points behind Athletic Club, and their sister club Atletico Madrid are they're at 5th place now. If there is a good chance, obviously, if all 3 Spanish clubs were to win their Champions League draws, which is not impossible. Mm-hmm. And in fact, you and I disagree only about BVB. I think, and you are being stubborn about Real.
Very stubborn.
But we both agree Barca will probably beat PSG. Or you're being stubborn about PSG as well?
I was being stubborn about PSG as well. I was just being completely contrary. Just for the fun of it.
Okay. So I think the Spanish clubs can all make it to the next round in the semi. So we're almost guaranteed, if that happens, we are guaranteed a Spanish finalist in the Champions League. If that happens, I still think in that situation Arsenal can still make it all the way to the finals and maybe win the Champions League.
Yeah.
Because if Real Madrid were to play Barcelona or Club Athletic in the other side of the draw, it could, Atletico Madrid, they would definitely have the other clubs would definitely want to take that scalp. But as we look at it now, I think, like I said, in that situation, Spain can definitely go all the way through. They don't have any remaining contenders in the Conference League or the Europa League anymore.
Yeah.
So that is the one thing going for them. They are reliant on the Champions League. Obviously, you're in the knockout rounds. They could, in theory, also lose all their lose every game.
Yeah.
Which would basically mean that they are, they would lose out to the coefficient, and you would have obviously England, France, and it would really be England's game because they'd have 2 teams going to the semis. And basically Germany would have their last remaining representative in BVB if Arsenal were to also beat Bayern Munich, which is obviously not a given. So it's precarious on that end of the coefficients. The Italians have lost all their clubs in the Europa League, in the Champions League, and in the Europa League it's tough because they're going to lose one from Milan and Roma.
Yeah, they had to face each other.
And they drew, Liverpool in one of the others. So
that's what I'm saying about Liverpool. So
it's a tough result for them.
Yeah.
And I don't think they have a club left in the Italians. Have a club left in the Conference League?
No, they didn't even have any in the round of 16.
Yeah.
Oh no, Fiorentina. Fiorentina was in the round of 16.
Fiorentina is still and a good chance actually to get through. So, like I said, I think you and I both think Aston Villa are going to win Conference League anyway. Yeah. But there are some opportunities there for Fiorentina to get some coefficient points for Italy. Whereas, they're not. They've kind of been stifled from getting many coefficient points from the Conference League. So it should play out that way. I think England are going to still end up with one of the spots. It's probably going to be Spain if they get at least 2 out of 3 go through from the Champions League.
Yeah.
And especially into the semi-final. Now, so if they were to get, and then I think in my head I'm beginning to favor them just because I think the Europa, their 3 clubs in the Champions League have all been so strong.
Yeah.
Then if they do get 5 Champions League spots, you've got Real Sociedad going to the Conference League because I think Copa del Rey has already been won by Real Madrid.
Yes. Del Rey. No, Atletico won the Copa del Rey, I think. Or Atletico beat Real Madrid. Real Madrid's they've only lost like 2 games all season. That's one of the ones they lost.
So they lost. So Copa del Rey's Athletic Club against Mallorca.
Yeah.
I suppose if Mallorca win Copa del Rey, they'll make it through to the UEFA. Do they go to the Conference League or do they go to the
Europa? I would have thought.
It qualifies for the UEFA Europa League. Okay.
Europa, yeah. I thought so.
That makes sense because the FA Cup qualifies you for the Europa League as well. Versus League Cup gets you to the... And I guess England's unique because England's League Cup is the only League Cup that gives you a European spot.
Yeah.
Because it's like the oldest League Cup.
Yeah.
Like, for a while it was only England and France. And then it went to... Because I think for a while it was also Scotland's League Cup also qualified you, but it doesn't anymore.
Alright.
So there is a decent chance because if Club Athletic win Copa del Rey, which is very likely, and Atletico Madrid get that 5th place spot, and they're in the 5th place, and fifth place gets your Champions Leagues, then Real Sociedad might qualify for the Europa League on 6th place, and Real Betis might go into Conference League.
Yeah. Definitely possible. Though that 7th place could get rather tight though. I mean, it's only 6 points back to Osasuna in 12th, so there's a reasonably close patch there. And Valencia does have a game in hand in there, and that must be against Granada, so it's technically a 3 points to them.
A very winnable fixture.
Yeah, so that to say if Spain gets the extra coefficient, then that Conference League spot becomes super tight. I mean, it's already they're not Real Betis and Valencia and Villarreal aren't that well. Villarreal's been out, but Valencia and Real Betis aren't that far behind Real Sociedad anyway.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame that Real Sociedad are not higher, because if they manage to get 5th place, it would be interesting to have the two Basque clubs in the Champions League. Playing in the Pyrenees. I guess technically Atletico has some Basque heritage because they're founded by players from Athletic Club when they were at university in Madrid. So that's why they have the same colors. But this is it's a really tough season for the English clubs in Europe, other than the ones in the Champions League, rather, because obviously Manchester City, Real Madrid's only real downside is they probably drew the one team they didn't want to draw, and same with Manchester City, drawing the one team they did not want to draw.
I think most people would have liked that game not to have occurred now, and either in semi-final or final. But we get it as a quarter-final, and both those clubs probably would have been just hoping for anybody else in the competition. It came to be, so. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's just the way it happened. As I predicted. Next, we will look at the most important cup, the FA Cup. We had what was initially the game of the round, Wolves losing to Coventry 3-0. That was an incredible game, and probably the biggest game of the season for Coventry, obviously.
That was awesome,
They had an early 1-0 lead. It looks like Wolves had clawed back and taken the lead back before Haji Wright got the 90th minute winner, and then obviously getting the winner again in 90-minute equalizer, and then scoring the winner in extra time against the Wolves. Like this is a local derby game. Like biggest game of the season for Coventry, and like the Sky Blues managed to get all the way through to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Get to host Manchester United at some stadium. At Wembley.
At Wembley,
It's not. They're going to be at Wembley, but because Coventry unfortunately don't have a stadium, home stadium at the moment, so it's always. I never can figure out where they're playing this season, because it always seems to change. Chelsea managed to do the business against Leicester, like you predicted, winning the fixture 4-2. Manchester City did the business against Newcastle. This is the game where I think you and I were all just like, Newcastle, unfortunately, I know your team is desperate for a trophy, but you drew Manchester City. What are you going to do?
I think we were hopeful Newcastle could do something, but no. Bernardo Silva said, I'm scoring 2 goals in the first half, and that's it. We're done.
Yeah. And then the actual game of the round, Manchester United going up against Liverpool, incredible, Scott McTominay gets the lead, and Liverpool managed to score before the half twice. To go into the dressing room with a 2-1 lead. I can tell you now, a lot of United fans were like, oh yeah, that's us, and when they subbed out Kobe Mainu, I was just like, have we given up on this game already? And somehow Anthony scores from his right. In the 87th minute to equalize the game. Liverpool very quickly in the second half of extra time managed to get through to get the lead again through Harvey Elliott. Marcus Rashford equalizes 6 minutes later, and obviously Amad Diallo, injury time winner, the last gasp of the game, and then gets red carded for celebrating, forgetting that he forgot he was on a yellow apparently, but Scott McTominay didn't forget. He was trying to hide Ahmad from the referee when he took his shirt off.
Alright, he's like, no, what shirt? I didn't see any shirts. The shirt's still on. It's fine.
An incredible game. It's a game that'll do the team a lot of good, because this is a team which I said just can't score. They somehow scored 4 goals. They have to play Coventry. Obviously, nothing's a given in the FA Cup, but I'm sure United. I, as a United fan, can say I'm not unhappy that we're facing a championship team rather than Chelsea or Manchester City.
As I say, if I was given the choice, I would prefer the Coventry pick as well over City. So
I think in a weird way Coventry are happy to play United as well, because United are a team that can lose to anyone.
As saying, Coventry just know they're playing well. This is a big cup run. They're already ahead, so they're just going to go out and play the game really, and just whatever comes. If it doesn't work, playing United.
Exactly. And, to top it off, David Moyes gets West Ham a draw against Aston Villa. He might even get a statue at United in due course. For all the turns he seems to do for his former club. In that same week, with the relegation derby between Luton and Forest ended 1-1. Burnley managed to beat Brentford, so they're in a bit of trouble. And as we mentioned before, the Aston Villa and West Ham had a 1-1 draw. So a lot of tired teams, and we can also confirm Forest have been penalised 4 points in the league.
Yeah, they have. So now they're they're below Luton in relegation zone, which is
Exactly.
sad. So it may be that Chris Wood finally gets relegated, but I'm sure he'll do his best.
See this.
He'll do his best to keep up.
There's still 9 more games.
I saw, actually, I think it was in the weekend. In the weekend, he scored his 150th Premier League goal, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's been floating around for some time. But yeah, no, it's 150 goals over 7 clubs. But
yeah,
definitely deserves everything he gets. That's pretty awesome, really. Score 150 goals in the Premier League.
Absolutely. Let me just have a quick look at his career breakdown. Statistics. He has scored 100. I think he's on 150 career goals at career league goals.
Career league goals. The
because
news was putting as Premier League goals, but it might have just been the way
one of his goals, at least in this statistical breakdown, was for West Brom when in the Championship.
Okay, maybe it's just league goals then. It may be the way they worded it on the news.
150 league goals in English football. Still an incredible achievement, but not 150 Premier League goals.
Yeah.
Yes. Because I was like, that's a lot. That's Hall of Fame level numbers. That's more than Cristiano Ronaldo, you know. 59 EPL goals.
Okay.
There we go. It's still very, very good for a New Zealander to have that many.
It's still very good.
Can you name the 4 clubs that he's scored goals for in the Premier League?
In the Premier League? Given that I opened his stats page, we'll go with Forrest.
Look away!
I already had it here. It's just here. I probably could have got it for you anyway. So yeah, Forrest, Newcastle, Burnley, and Leicester.
Yeah.
I might have struggled in doing it. Well, it would have been Leicester. I knew. Those are his Premier League, most of his Premier League clubs. But what I was trying to remember, when they were first talking about it, was whether he'd scored for Leicester in the Premier League. But yeah, so. Yeah,
he had the 1 goal for Leicester in the Premier League. And they didn't get relegated that season, so there you go.
I think we said that at the beginning of the season, that Chris Wood hasn't been in a team when they've been relegated. So so be interesting with Forest if they can stay up. So they're pretty close. You think they could?
It's still competitive.
It's only 1
relegation.
point. Yeah.
That relegation table at the moment for the Premier League, I think Sheffield United behind, even though they have a game in hand. Burnley only 4 points behind, only 5 points behind Luton Towns, and they're kind of recovering some form. So those 4 points could really hurt Forest there. But Forest play against a bunch of teams who, in theory, have nothing to play for coming up. They play Fulham, they play Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
So they play, but then they start playing some good. They play Wolves. They've got a game against Tottenham Hotspur, which don't see them doing too well against. They're playing against Everton. Everton are impossible to flush out of the Premier League. What can you say?
Yeah, I mean that's technically a relegation fight. They've got Sheffield United. Yeah, it's Premier League, and they end with Burnley after playing us second to last week. So I think Forest
could probably be the relegation. That could be the relegation decider.
Yeah. I think they said they should have enough there. say they're playing some teams that are sort of nowhere. They are playing a couple of teams in that they now fight for the final European spot, so that's not the best of them, but yeah. Playing Burnley, they're playing Sheffield United, they're playing Everton. So
I mean, Everton are playing Bournemouth, and Brentford are playing Man United, so potential for them to catch up over there if they beat Crystal Palace, and Tottenham Hotspur are playing Luton.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm just looking. Nottingham Forrest are playing, other than Luton, are playing basically the other relegation candidates. They're playing Sheffield, they're playing Burnley, and they're playing Everton. So they're just not playing Luton. It's the only one they're not playing. And out of that,
they have a lot of their own fate in their own hands.
Yeah. So win those games, that's probably good enough anyway. As long as they don't, nothing unusual happens outside of that. But say they're playing Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, and Bournemouth as well, was it? So they're playing some other teams that are
Crystal Palace, Fulham's
the one. So those are ones that they could possibly grab a draw from,
and
Wolves. So I mean, Wolves might be a little tougher, but Crystal Palace a draw. Fulham a draw, and then take the wins against Nottingham Forest. Against Burnley, Sheffield United, and Everton.
They do play Spurs and Manchester City, though.
Yeah, but those are lost games.
Chelsea.
Yeah, that's a lost game too. I'm just gonna throw that in there. But I mean, yeah, they take 9 points, 11 points out of Luton, Burnley, Sheffield, Crystal Palace, Fulham. Fulham's potentially still got something to play for. They're only a point below us, but they're 2 games out, and they need to make up 6 points, I guess, to catch up with West Ham. So they just don't have game. Fulham don't have the games in hand, basically. So that's why I thought maybe a point there for them. It's 11 points out of that.
Yeah.
That's 32 points for Forest. Not completely safe, but given Sheffield's probably not going to have many points, I mean, it's touch and go for Forest.
Oh, you're not going to need 40 points to survive relegation this season. I think we can both agree on that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like Forest, assuming that they win the games against the other relegation candidates, take a couple of draws out of the rest of them, they're on balance, about to be where they should be. Like that feels like 17th just.
Yeah, Sheffield United and Burnley are probably not going to reach 30 points this season. I don't think.
That's the race against Luton and against Everton, basically.
And I think 35 points might be just about enough.
Yeah. That's something.
Like, technically, Chelsea are not over 40 points yet, but they've got
2 games in hand.
A couple of games in hand.
Yeah.
For that.
I mean, neither of those games are good, quote unquote, good games, because I think it's technically Spurs and Arsenal. I want to say, who did we not play this? Arsenal. I think it's Spurs and Arsenal's our 2. Yeah, Spurs and Arsenal are our 2 postponed games. Those are our games in hand. So it's not the nicest games in hand in the world to have to make up somewhere, because if you're going to have games in hand, it'd be nice to have games in hand against teams that are lower on the table than us. But hey, has to be. Get our points from them, and we're right in there. So, as I feel Chelsea are starting to actually come right at the tail end of the season. So, any luck, that will translate into wins against Spurs and Arsenal anyway.
And play spoiler on the league table.
And play spoiler. Playing spoiler's always fun.
Yeah. Look, as
It is
long
away
as
to
Manchester
Arsenal,
City, as long as Manchester City or Liverpool don't win the league, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I think on that note, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening in, and we look forward to hearing from you next time.
Catch you next time.
Well, that is the end. Thanks for listening all the way through.
If you liked what you heard, we have even more. 9642 Discord and a Buy Me a Coffee.
Pretty sure it's Buy Me a Beer.
Oh yeah, buy me a beer on buymeacoffee.com.
In both these places, you can talk to us, and we may even listen, especially if you do buy a said beer or coffee. I might still be confused.
Yes, we're easily bribed. All links are in the show notes below.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
This is on YouTube.